Hollywood is not a place for the weak. The industry often demands more than you are willing to give. From being present on set for hours just to get the right shot, to realizing that you are being replaced by someone else who is better than you or has better connections than you. The game can turn around in seconds within the industry. To be present and to be unshakable is achieved by only a few who make it there. Audiences can choose at any time who they like and who can be replaced. But in the midst of all this, the dark side of Hollywood gets overshadowed. It is safe to say that substance abuse and alcohol have been a part of the industry, even if no one wants to admit it. As bad or rough as it sounds, some people just took it too far. While some got addicted and came out of it alive, some were unfortunate enough to die terrible deaths as a result of consuming too much alcohol. While it may not sound like a big deal at first, think this: how bad do you think things can get with alcohol? Imagine the impact this substance can have on your physical and mental health. Now, before you start scrolling Google to find your answers, here are some of the worst alcoholics in the history of Hollywood. 1. Robert Downey Jr. The one who doesn't need an introduction. A legend in his own right, who has been showered with awards and respected throughout history for his work and cultural impact on society. He won the Golden Globes Award in 2001 for his role in Ally McBeal, the BAFTA Award for Chaplin in 1992, and the Best Actor Award for Iron Man 2008 and Avengers Endgame 2019. The list just goes on. Most notably recognized for his role as Iron Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the actor is loved by millions. Not only that, his roles in the Marvel Cinematic Universe have grossed over billions of dollars, and it is safe to say that the actor has made a name for himself. However, many of his fans and people from Hollywood know that Robert was not always like this. While today Robert is surrounded by love, fame, and respect, there was a time in his life when he was surrounded by nothing but drugs, alcohol, and police. From darkness to light, let us look at the actor's past and get a glimpse of the journey from drugs and alcohol to Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. was born on April 4, 1965 in Manhattan, New York. Robert's dad, Robert Downey Sr., was an independent filmmaker at the time, which influenced and exposed him to acting and drugs from a very young age. At the tender age of 6, his father gave him marijuana for the first time to try, a gruesome mistake he would live to regret later. By the age of 8, Downey's condition worsened significantly, and he became an addict. Apart from marijuana, he began experimenting with cocaine, alcohol, and other forms of narcotics. Downey dropped out of Santa Monica High School at the age of 17 when he moved back to New York with his dad to pursue a full-time career in acting after his parents' divorce. He eventually landed a few small gigs starring in several John Hughes movies. Less Than Zero turned out to be a turning point for the actor, as he recalls. Until that movie, I took my drugs after work and on the weekends. Maybe I'd turn up hungover on the set, but no more so than the stuntman. That changed on Less Than Zero. I was playing this junkie, and, for me, the role was like the ghost of Christmas Future. The character was an exaggeration of myself. Then things changed, and, in some ways, I became an exaggeration of the character over the late 90s. Downey would go on to have several encounters with law enforcement officers, as he was often caught by them under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Sometimes he would get caught by traffic police while speeding, or be found in an alley behind a hotel where he would be naked or sometimes only wearing his boxers. After serving almost a year in jail and witnessing what bottom zero feels like, Downey decided to turn his life around in 2003. He was sitting in a Burger King when he decided that he could not live like this anymore and threw the remaining of his stash into the ocean. Since then, his journey has been remarkable. His first wife, Deborah Falconer, divorced him in 1996 when he was in jail. Once he got out, his friends, such as Mel Gibson, helped him initially by providing him with the necessities such as food and shelter. It was later that he met his future wife, Suzanne Levin, who only married Downey on the condition that he would leave drugs and alcohol behind now. From then on, Downey was focused on getting his life back together by spending time with his family and close friends and practicing meditation and Wing Chun Kung Fu, which helped him a lot. 2. Judy Garland. Day, a child prodigy who became famous just at the age of 17, had much more to herself than just acting. Judy Garland, born on June 10, 1992, in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, was exposed to the industry at an early age. As per the new book The Fixer Moguls, Mobsters, Movie Stars, and Marilyn, private investigator Fred Otash helped Judy fight her drug and alcohol addiction in the mid-60s. The work, written by Manfred Westphal, includes many of Otash's notes from the Tinseltown Inspector's archives, which revealed unanticipated facts about the Wizard of Oz star, who saw her unfortunate demise in 1969 at age 47 due to overdose. Otash passed away in 1992 at age 70. Garland's early exposure to the industry had several negative impacts on her, to say the least. She worked tirelessly on sets without taking a break, and Hollywood directors and other executives had some things to say about her weight, as they were not satisfied with it. As a result, she was kept on a very strict diet and given stimulants, such as amphetamines, to keep her energy up to work long hours. It was with the company MGM that her downfall began, at the age of 13. Not long after, she found herself addicted to the pills and turned to alcohol as well to cope with the working hours and the minimal pay she got. She was working at a salary of $100 a week, which surmounts to $2,200 today. The combination of pills and alcohol made the perfect recipe for her downfall, including erratic relationships with people and mental and physical stress. By the time she was 18, she had acted in more than 12 films and was subjected to a psychiatrist for her addiction and mental problems, where she had 3 nervous breakdowns. When she was 28, she tried to commit suicide by slashing her throat with broken glass. Her third husband, Sid Luft, claimed that Judy tried to kill her 20 times in the years they were married. The actress said this in 1962, "I'm always being painted a more tragic figure than I am. Actually, I get awfully bored with myself as a tragic figure." After working with MGM for almost 30 years, they saw fit to throw her out when she did not report for work on a few occasions and felt right to cast Betty Hutton for her role in And Get Your Gun. When her acting career went for a toss, her songs did the job for her to keep her around fame for an extended period. One of her most famous concerts was at Carnegie Hall in 1961. That show is often considered to be one of the greatest shows ever. However, after 2 more failed marriages and further setbacks in the industry in her career, she took her life on June 22, 1969 in London. The tragic loss of Judy Garland makes us ponder over 2 things about the industry. No amount of fame or money can save you from your personal demons unless you get the right guidance, and stars like Judy are remembered even today for what she was best at. 3. Richard Burton. Richard Burton was born on November 10, 1925, in Pontrhydyfen, Wales. To date, he is celebrated as one of the best actors of his time. Some of his iconic movies include films such as Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, 1996, where his portrayal of a bitter and disillusioned George against Taylor nominated him for the Academy Award. His performance in Beckett, 1994, nominated him for the Oscar Award and was a testament to his acting prowess. But with all that popularity, fame, and talent, what went wrong with Burton succumbing to his death at just the age of 58? The answer to that is long-term alcoholism. Some have a strong belief that this influence of alcohol and other substances came early in Burton's life due to his father. His father, Richard Walters Jenkins Jr., was himself a 12 pints a day kind of guy. Burton started smoking at the age of 8, and by the time he was 12, he was a full-blown alcoholic. During the 1950s, Burton's problems and dependency on alcohol increased, as its effects were crystal clear in the eyes of the public and his fans alike. This damaged the barrier between his personal and professional life, and made alcohol a key relation to both of them. His larger-than-life attitude only made the condition worse as he explored elite places over the globe to get himself hungover every now and then. He was not alone in this venture of drinking in luxurious places. Burton was married 5 times throughout his life, and in this marriage facade, the most notable case was of Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. These were some of the hotspots where Burton generally went for having a drink or 10. The Dorchester, in London, the Beverly Hills Hotel in LA, Harry's Bar, his home in Puerto Vallarta, and other of his private properties around the world. Burton's menu often included a wide variety of liquor that he consumed frequently. He drank vodka and tonic, whiskey and soda, and enjoyed champagne once in a while. Additionally, Burton even boasted around claiming that he could hammer himself with half a gallon of cognac or vodka and still perform on the stage. He made a record in Oxford, where he drank a yard of beer in 10 seconds. Now, that is a talent that probably does not require any further exploration. Burton said that he was not civilized without a drink. He required 3 or 4 bottles of whiskey or vodka. He even mentioned that he wanted to stay away from rum, claiming that it could send him into a trance where he thought fit enough to compete with Muhammad Ali. If this wasn't enough damage already, Burton's elder brother Ifor was left paralyzed after a long drinking spell with his dear brother. This sent him into guilt and frustration, and as a result, you guessed it, he began drinking even more. Finally, Burton's long race of alcohol came to an end, as physical and mental side effects became louder and were visible to everyone. Severe cirrhosis of the liver, constant strokes, Estranged relationships and inability to stand straight on stage were some of the most profound effects that alcohol had on him. This all accumulated to a cerebral hemorrhage which claimed Burton's life on August 5, 1984. Despite his alcohol problems and erratic behavior, Burton is looked up to by many in the industry, as no matter what happened in his personal life, his craft and love for acting showed evidently. 4. Charlie Sheen. Hollywood stars are reputable people who are well immersed/settled into the culture of the elite. But there is much more to Hollywood than just acting and skills, which gets you work. For many, the traditional route of climbing the ladder of success does not suffice, which makes them turn the other way. Such was the case with Charlie Sheen, who got involved in the party culture of Hollywood, to eventually find himself drowning in alcohol and substance abuse. But he was one of the fortunate to get out of this mess alive. Let's dig into how it all began and what caused this sudden shift in the life of this fine comedy actor who is loved by many. Charlie was born Carlos Erwin Estevez on September 3, 1965, in New York City. He was the son of the famous Hollywood personality Martin Sheen. Early on in his career, he got the chance to work in many films, and a few of his films hit the benchmark, which earned him fame, money, and respect from his audience. Some of his renowned roles include Red Dawn 1984, Platoon 1986, and Wall Street 1987. His performance as Platoon was appreciated by many people. The movie revolved around the Vietnam War, and his performance in the film got him an Oscar, which turned out to be a breakthrough for him. As successful as he was, he could not avoid alcohol and other substances, which generally consisted of cocaine. Belonging from a good family and gaining early success in his career gave him access to this poison easily. Also, alcohol was readily available on movie sets and the parties he attended. His addiction got a whole lot worse, and later he got involved with law enforcement officers as a result of being an addict. In 1996, Charlie was charged with an assault on his former girlfriend, Brittany Ashland. A year later, he pleaded no contest to the charges and was subjected to a suspended sentence and 2 years in probation from a Californian judge. In 1998, Charlie was on the verge of a breakdown after a serious episode of substance abuse. His father asked him to get into rehab, where he was to be kept under supervision because the doctors said that he was under heavy medication. Moving forward, he did many films and established a hallmark for himself through the television series 2 and A Half Men, which was aired in 2003. His role in the comedy sitcom was much appreciated by the audience, and they enjoyed his comedy-oriented character. In 2011, Charlie got into a big public feud as he was kicked out of the show 2 and A Half Men. In an interview with the press, he went on to say controversial things, which grabbed everyone's attention, and fingers were being pointed at the star. After a few more encounters with law enforcement officers, restraining orders, and spending time in judicial custody, Charlie stayed out of the limelight for almost 6 years. A switch flicked within him, and he decided to quit it all for once. It was when he had to take one of his daughters to the doctor, but he was already too drunk by afternoon noon. He had to call a friend to drive them to the doctor's place. While they made it to the appointment on time, he felt remorse and guilt as he was not able to drive his daughter there. He went on record to say, "I think the first month I was like, I'm going to have to give it a month, just see if I feel any better, and if my interactions with those that are closest to me improve." And they did. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go another month. And then it got traction. I had momentum. He has been sober for quite some time now and has incorporated healthy practices into his routine, such as working out, getting up early in the morning, spending time with his family, and focusing on work. Charlie's journey up until now acts as an inspiration for many. That no matter how many turmoils life throws at you, you can always get out of it if you want. 5. Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson was born on January 3, 1956, in Peekskill, New York. He relocated with his family to Australia when he was 12 years old. He was raised in a large Catholic family, and Gibson was the 6th of 11 children. His father, Hutton Gibson, was a strict disciplinarian and a writer known for his controversial views, which influenced Mel's early life. After graduating from the National Institute of Dramatic Art, NIDA, in Sydney, Gibson's acting career took off with his role in the Australian film Mad Max in 1979. This film's success led to international fame, and Gibson quickly became known for his rugged good looks and intense performances. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Gibson created a significant status for himself as a major Hollywood star with roles in consecutive films such as Lethal Weapon in 1987 and its sequels, The Year of Living Dangerously in 1982 and Maverick in 1994. His directorial debut, The Man Without a Face in 1993, showcased his versatility and ambition in the industry. However, it was Braveheart in 1995 that earned him widespread acclaim, winning Academy Awards for Best Picture and Best Director. Gibson's struggle with alcohol began early in his career, but it became more prominent in the public eye during the 2000s. His drinking problem led to a series of highly publicized incidents, including a 2006 DUI arrest in Malibu, where he made anti-Semitic remarks to the arresting officer. This incident was a major scandal and severely damaged his reputation. It highlighted the extent of his alcoholism and its impact on his behavior and public image. Gibson later apologized for his remarks, which were attributed to his intoxicated state, and attempted to make amends. In addition to the 2006 incident, Gibson faced further controversy in 2010 when recordings of him making racist and misogynistic comments during a phone call with his then-girlfriend, Oksana Grigorieva, were leaked. These incidents, combined with his struggles with alcohol, led to Gibson being largely shunned in Hollywood, and he faced significant professional setbacks. Determined to address his issues, Gibson sought treatment for his alcoholism and worked on his recovery. He attended Alcoholics Anonymous meetings and other rehabilitation programs, making a concerted effort to overcome his addiction. Over the years, Gibson has spoken about his battle with alcohol, where he acknowledged the harm it caused and his journey toward sobriety. Gibson's road to redemption in Hollywood was long and grueling. Despite the controversies, he gradually rebuilt his career, where he started with smaller roles in independent projects. His significant comeback came with the release of Hacksaw Ridge in 2016, a World War II drama he directed. The film received critical acclaim and multiple award nominations, which included an Academy Award nomination for Best Director. This success marked a turning point, which allowed Gibson to regain some of his former standing in the industry. In recent years, Gibson has continued to work in both acting and directing, taking on projects that reflect his talents and experience. While his past controversies have left a lasting impact, Gibson's commitment to his craft and efforts toward personal growth and sobriety have allowed him to continue contributing to the film industry. His story remains a complex narrative of extraordinary talent, personal struggles, and the challenging path to recovery and redemption. 6. Amy Winehouse. The Back to Black superstar was born on September 14, 1983, in London, England. She grew up to be a talented songwriter and singer who was recognized for her exquisite blend of jazz, soul, and R&B music. She skyrocketed to fame in the early 20s thanks to her album that was loved throughout the globe. Her journey was set to become a sensational star and produce much more inspiring music until alcohol and drugs intervened, becoming an obstacle that she would crash into. The drugs and alcohol that started as a support system turned into substance abuse in no time. She was then sent to rehab where she hoped for recovery and finding the will to quit this once and for all before it took her life. Amy's family and best friend had been close with her during these times, and they went on public record to make the public understand what Amy was going through. A statement made by her best friend Tyler James in 2021 gives us a glimpse of the gut-wrenching war that the superstar was fighting. This is what he said: Amy was a girl in her 20s suffering from addiction, and everybody was a part of it. Everybody was watching it. When you go to rehab, you have to be the strongest you've ever been in your life. When you are the weakest you've ever been in your life. And she had to go through that in front of people. Once she was out of rehab, she was clean of drugs for quite some time, and even her alcohol situation was starting to come under control. While her recovery was swift and her family and friends hoped to get Amy back, it was not going to happen. On June 23, 2011, Amy Winehouse was pronounced dead at 3:54 p.m. However, doctors and the police have confirmed that when they found Amy, she had been dead for a while, so the exact time of her demise is unknown. The cause of her death was alcohol toxicity, as stated by the doctors. The doctors detected 5 times more blood alcohol levels in her body as compared to what was legal at the time. Coroner Suzanne Greenway ruled it death by misadventure and an unintended consequence of drinking too much alcohol. After her death, her parents came on record and said things about Amy as she passed away. Her father claimed that despite her long struggle with substance abuse, she had been free of heroin and crack. He even stated that before her demise, she had gone alcohol-free for 3 weeks straight. The parents said it is some relief to finally find out what happened to Amy. We understand there was alcohol in her system when she passed away. It is likely a buildup of alcohol in her system over a number of days. The court heard that Amy was battling hard to conquer her problems with alcohol, and it is a source of great pain to us that she could not win in time. Winehouse is one of those talented musicians who left the world too early, just at the age of 27. Her legacy continues to inspire millions wanting to start a career in the entertainment industry. Even her parents have given interviews, and they are not shy in speaking to the press about their daughter. James Tyler. Amy's best friend claims that people must understand how hard Amy fought her battles until she could not take it anymore. This is probably the most disheartening death of a famous personality that has been covered in the list. To have such raw talent and potential within you along with a family is a dream of millions. And Amy got to live it, even though it was for a short time. It goes on to serve as a reminder that no amount of alcohol is precious in someone's life. 7. Dylan Thomas. Dylan Thomas, born on October 27, 1914, in Swansea, Wales, was a celebrated poet whose life and work have left a lasting impact on literature. Raised in a culturally rich environment, Thomas was heavily influenced by his father, David John Thomas, an English literature teacher who instilled in him a love for poetry and language. He attended Swansea Grammar School, where his early interest in writing began to flourish. By the age of 16, Thomas had left school to become a journalist for the South Wales Daily Post, but his passion for poetry quickly took ascendancy. Thomas's entrance into the literary world was marked by the publication of his first poetry collection, 18 Poems, in 1934, which amassed critical acclaim for its innovative and intense style. His subsequent works, including The Map of Love in 1939 and Deaths and Entrances in 1946, further established him as a major figure in modern poetry. Although Thomas was primarily known for his literary contributions, he also worked in radio and film. During World War II, he wrote and narrated propaganda films and radio broadcasts for the Ministry of Information, which helped to broaden his audience and displayed his distinctive voice and narrative skills. Thomas's struggle with alcohol began in his late teens and early 20s, a period marked by the bohemian lifestyle of the literary circles he frequented. His drinking intensified over the years, and it wasn't too late before it became a central aspect of his life and persona. Alcohol profoundly impacted his personal relationships, which led to turbulent periods with his wife, Caitlin McNamara, and contributed to financial instability as his erratic behavior and frequent binges interfered with his work commitments. Professionally, his alcoholism resulted in missed deadlines and unreliable behavior, which strained his collaborations and diminished his productivity. Despite various attempts to overcome his addiction, which included hospitalizations and the support of friends and family, Thomas's battle with alcohol persisted. His health deteriorated significantly in his late 30s, escalated by his excessive drinking. On November 3, 1953, during a visit to New York City for a poetry tour, Thomas collapsed after a drinking binge and was hospitalized. He slipped into a coma and died on November 9, 1953, at the age of 39. The official cause of death was pneumonia, with complications from his chronic alcoholism playing a significant role. Thomas's untimely death shocked the literary world, but his legacy endures through his evocative and powerful body of work. Poems like Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night and his play Under Milk Wood continue to be celebrated for their lyrical beauty and emotional depth. Dylan Thomas's life, marked by both extraordinary talent and profound personal struggles, remains a poignant testament to the complexities of artistic genius and the human condition. 8. William Holden. William Holden, born William Franklin Beadle Jr. on April 17, 1918, in O'Allen, Illinois, was the eldest of 3 sons in a middle-class family. His father, a chemist, moved the family to South Pasadena, California, when William was a young boy. Growing up, Holden was an active child with a passion for sports and the arts. He attended South Pasadena High School and later Pasadena Junior College, where he developed an interest in acting. His early exposure to theater during college paved the way for his entry into Hollywood. Discovered by a Paramount Pictures talent scout while performing in a college play, Holden signed a contract with the studio and adopted his stage name. Holden's film career began with minor roles, but his big break came in 1939 with the film Golden Boy, where he played a talented violinist turned boxer. The film's success launched his career and established him as one of Hollywood's promising young actors. During the 1940s, he appeared in a series of successful films, including Our Town 1940 and The Fleets in 1942. His career was temporarily interrupted by World War II, during which he served as a second lieutenant in the United States Army Air Forces. After the war, Holden resumed his acting career, delivering standout performances in films such as Sunset Boulevard, 1950, which earned him an Academy Award nomination, and Stalag 17 in 1953, for which he won the Oscar for Best Actor. Holden's battle with alcohol began in the early 1950s, which coincided with his rising fame. The pressures of stardom, the relentless demands of the film industry, and personal challenges contributed to his increasing reliance on alcohol. Initially, his drinking seemed manageable, but it gradually became more severe, which affected his behavior and work. On a personal level, His alcoholism strained his marriage to actress Brenda Marshall, with whom he had 2 sons. The couple eventually separated due to Holden's drinking problems. Professionally, his dependency on alcohol led to erratic behavior, which incorporated frequent episodes of absences from sets and difficulties memorizing lines, which negatively impacted his reputation and career opportunities. Despite his struggles, Holden continued to deliver powerful performances in the 1950s and 1960s. His role in The Bridge on the River Kwai 1957 was critically acclaimed and solidified his status as a leading man. However, his drinking continued to overshadow his achievements. Friends and colleagues often intervened as they urged him to seek help. Holden made several attempts to overcome his addiction, which included stints in rehabilitation facilities and periods of sobriety, but he often relapsed. His alcoholism was a recurring issue that affected every aspect of his life. In his later years, Holden tried to find solace outside of Hollywood. He developed a passion for wildlife conservation and co-founded the Mount Kenya Game Ranch in Kenya, where he dedicated significant time and resources to preserving endangered species. Despite these efforts, his battle with alcohol persisted. Tragically, on November 12, 1981, Holden died alone in his apartment in Santa Monica, California, at the age of 63. He had fallen and struck his head, which resulted in severe bleeding. The coroner's report indicated that he had been drinking heavily at the time of the accident, and he was unable to seek help due to his intoxicated state. William Holden's life was a blend of remarkable talent and personal demons. His legacy in Hollywood is marked by his memorable performances and contributions to cinema, yet his story also serves as a tale about the destructive power of addiction. Despite the challenges he faced, Holden's dedication to his craft and his efforts in conservation left a mark on both the film industry and the world at large. So, this was a sneak peek into the lives of some of the worst alcoholics in Hollywood history. Which one do you think suffered the worst fate of all? Is there anyone on the list you sympathize with? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And for more content like this, click that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss an update on our next video.